So what happens to rapists in prison? Now, there's all different treachery that you encounter when you're in prison. And as we know, if you hurt women or children, you're a chomo, a molester, a rapist, your lifespan is very short. You'll be extorted, poisoned, your face will be slashed, and the guards are gonna make it happen. It's easy math. Chomo sex offenders make up 15% of the prison population, yet 30% of the homicides. You got to look at it like this. All the gangs, all the corruption, they basically are 1/3 of the homicides that go on in prison. You go to Nebraska and you look at it like this. 75% of murder victims in Nebraska prison were sex offenders. I wouldn't call them victims at all. And the reality is this. The COs are going to help you every time. Nobody likes a pedophile, a rapist, chomo, anybody that does any sex crimes, hurts women, children, rapists of any sex will get handled. As you can see here, 2 nurses and an officer let a man beat a dude to death for 11 minutes while they were just watching. Those are the nurses that want to see your ass get hit up. You know how many times in prison I've had a CO step to me saying this inmate will accidentally be in the day room, handle it, I'll be gone for 20 minutes. Or this rapist piece of shit who raped this woman or did this or did that, hey, he's gonna accidentally be put in your cell and handle your business. I've seen them cut open, have broomsticks put in their insides, and say a dude committed a rape, but say he was in an organization, one of a big powerful gang in prison, got out and then came back for a rape conviction. I've seen all organizations from the Kings, the Southsiders to Unforgivens, and you look at their patches or their tattoos and they're cut off, they're burnt off, their faces are slashed, they're hit with boiling water. Some organizations have it, if they find out you're from the same area that certain people are, you know certain people or even the victims, they will flush your soul down the toilet. They will take your head and put it in the toilet and kick your skull in until you're dead, until you aren't breathing. The water looks like Jaws. You're half hanging in, half out, slumped over, and they'll just flush the toilet. I mean, it's real gruesome. I seen it to where they had shit in the toilet and did that to a guy that hurt children. I seen an organization called the Unforgivens. They wear their patches like in the back of their head or their neck, like it's real big. And I guess a dude came back with a bad rape charge on a woman, and they sent some of their, probate prospects, whatever they were, to go cut that tat off. And that dude's back of his head had like 90 Roman numerals all up and down his head, just slash marks where they scraped the tattoo out, just started writing things. They will literally grab you, take your head and carve rapist, chomo. They'll tattoo it on you. Some of the more treacherous shit is this. Very confusing because you see inmates will rape other inmates. A lot of people say, well, how come they don't get dealt with? Oh, they do. It's just they go after weak inmates. And you can't just go and stand up for somebody that's not going to stand up for themselves, because you got to make sure you make it out of there. You got to make sure the dude that you have to stab or whatever ride or whatever organization you're at odds with or whoever is your enemy, you can't be Captain Save an inmate. However, when they go after the wrong one, this is what happened. Dude here was in Florida prison. Dude tried to rape him. He got up out of there, went and got his knife. They had a little tussle. He ends up stabbing the booty bandit rapist to death. I talk about one of my best friends. He turned 3 years into 27 years. Dude tried to rape him, tried him. He ended up sneaking a weapon in the chow hall. I helped him make sure nobody jumped on him, and he ended up gutting the rapist in prison who was a booty bandit and got an extra 27 years tacked onto his sentence. However, he was left with no choice. There is no alternative. You do this type of shit, you get dealt with. The COs are the sick ones that will take these booty bandits and put inmates they don't like in the cell and let them that are weaker, let them get raped and beat to death. That shit is fucked up. Organizations and inmates, you're not just gonna use a booty bandit unless you're sending them to go get a chomo or another rapist. If you use it on a regular inmate, you're going to be no good and probably hit up yourself. They did it to little Ricky Martin. Dude was about to go home in a year or so. He told on the officers for having a fight club, which was rampant in all prisons in Florida, especially in confinement. They put him in there with Jug. Dude literally raped him and beat him to death for 20 minutes. No one even came in there. He's screaming for his life. The dude killing him is screaming, "Hey, should I kill this dude?" and just stomping his head in. The officers are more treacherous than the inmates most of the time. That's why you always have to be prepared for anything in prison. However, if a dude is a booty bandit or on any of that, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to house in that dorm. Organizations are going to put a hit on him depending on whatever race doesn't want that around him. I saw something very vicious when I first started my prison sentence. A Spanish organization, they were pretty big in this camp I was at. I was in South Florida Reception Center. And it turns out one of their brothers, ex-brothers, was a booty bandit. He was raping inmates. He would go after weaker inmates and basically have his way with them. Well, they set him up. They had got word that that's what he was doing. So they all acted like they were going to go to the yard and left him with one of his intended victims in the unit, not knowing they were all waiting. They left, acted like, we're out of here. They came right back in about 30 minutes, 20 minutes later. The CO had clicked the door open for him. He was corrupt as well. They opened the door. Dude's over there trying to have his way with this weaker inmate. The Spanish organization ends up gutting this dude, cutting off all his tattoos, his face. It's not a game. However, I'm going to tell y'all something, and it's not right, but this is the realities of prison. If somebody's a homosexual and they get involved in a relationship and something happens between them, nobody even bats an eye. The officers feel like, oh, he had it coming to him. He deserved it. So it's real treacherous in that way. When people say, oh, if you're a homosexual, you're probably in heaven in prison. No, man. They're expected to break it off. They get very, very disrespected. And then I seen something that I couldn't believe. There was a dude, very flamboyant, homosexual, and dude went up to him, this big old dude, looked like Debo from Friday, and was like, listen, you're going to be my boy, And I'm talking about some of the most biggest gangster dudes you'll ever see in your life are straight in entanglement with 5 boyfriends, and then they go kiss their wife and kids in visitation. Dude said, oh, no, just because I'm gay, it don't mean I'm giving you anything. Well, Debo thought he was going to try this dude. Dude ends up putting on some pink gloves and beats the shit out of Debo, stabs him up. And I said, what the fuck is going on? It's insane to think that so many killings, so many murders, so much chaos is because of these demonic, evil pleasures that people cannot contain. As far as hits and torment, one of the most brutal ones I saw was a CO step to a friend of mine and, whatever, shit happens. I helped him out. Anything I can do to make a chomo, rapist, pedophile's life harder and suffer, I will do it. I don't care what your religion is, your belief, what you are in a gang, racial, hatred, friendship, whatever it is. If we both can get at a chomo, a rapist together, none of that matters to me. And the way it went down was a dude was in there for rape, and somebody knew the victim, and he did it to a child, and dude was from that same city, happened to be in the same unit as me. They stepped to me and told me the plan. CEO had got however much money, and the inmates were going to get paid to run down on this rapist piece of shit. But they wanted him to suffer. They wanted him to be tortured, was the words from the parent whose kid was raped in the outside. They run in that cell. The CEO opened the door, said, look, y'all got 15 minutes. Went out for a cigarette break or whatever he did. And they had a tattoo gun with real tainted ink. They end up beating the shit out of him with locks, stabbing him, hitting him with rebar, holding him down, started scribbling all types of letters all over his face, everywhere they could hit. And the ink had diseases and shit, just real. They called it the Black Widow ink, treacherous. But y'all have to stop hurting people, man. Leave our kids, our women, innocents alone. Stay out, stay free.